Hi everyone, this is Joshua and this is part 2 of the animation backgrounds video. In the first video we went over the square window, and in this video we'll be focusing on the circular window. I made two different Easter cards using the circular window and the rotating animation background, and so that's what you'll see in this video. For one of the cards I used the black animation grid, and for the other I created a pink colored grid using our die cut to make the animation grids. So just as a quick review for those of you who didn't watch part 1, this is the animation die cut set for the backgrounds. You can get two different windows. You also get the die cut to make the tab and the piece to make the slit for that pull tab. We have three different stamp sets with animation backgrounds, and later in the video I'll be stamping each one so you can see how the movement works after stamping. So let's get started with the project, and first we're going to start with the die cut for the circular window. And what I like to do is kind of place it by eye and decide where I want to put the window. So that'll be your first task. And I always like to die cut from the inside so that you avoid making any marks that you don't want to be seen on your front of your card. So you tape it down. I use washi tape that is not very sticky, just so it doesn't ruin any of the card after die cutting. So now we'll just run it through the die cutting machine. So after we die cut the window, I always like to keep that piece just in case you want to use that to make another embellishment and the paper is coordinating. And so now we're going to go ahead and die cut the tab that you use for the pull tab. I'm going to use the opposite side of the paper. This is from Amy Tangerine Sunshine by American Crafts. And we're just going to die cut the tab. And those are really your three main components of the card. You have your tab, your A2 card with the window, and of course the piece of animation grid that you're going to use. And so now we're going to go and I'm going to show you some of the background stamps one by one. So there are three background stamp sets. Each of them has a circular background and a square background. I'll start with the rotating background since that's the one we're going to use on the project. Each of the stamps has a straight edge now, so you know that you're placing it straight on your block. It really helps. It's a nice little feature that we added to all the animation stamp sets. So I'll be using some VersaFine black ink. We find that that creates a really nice solid image, and push down nice and firm, and we're going to see how the movement looks. So I'm also going to show you how it looks when you stamp with a color. I'm using some orange distressed oxide ink, and it really comes out great even with a nice solid color using the black animation grid. Of course, you can also die cut into an orange colored paper or yellow, anything that's tone on tone, and you'll get a really nice colorful effect. And so I can show you quickly what that would look like. I have a pink grid here that I die cut, and you can see here that when you line it up you'll see that it doesn't quite look right when the lines are not straight. So just make sure once you get it straight you'll see the wheel appear nice and clear. I'm also going to show you in a yellow paper how it looks, and it really looks best when you use a tone on tone matching the ink color with the paper. So now I can show you the second set we have. It is another rotating background, but this one is sort of a checkerboard, a circular checkerboard that rotates as you move. So again, I'm using VersaFine black ink because that gets the best solid colored stamp. And we're going to stamp with firm pressure, and then we'll see how the movement looks. So now we'll move on to the third and final background stamp. This stamp has circles that look like they're expanding and coming back in. It looks a little bit like a target, but in the end, the motion is really cool and it's one of my favorite. You can do so many different things with it, and you'll see after I stamp here what the motion actually looks like. I hope everyone enjoys that catchy music that's playing during the animation scene here. But let's get back to the project. So once we've decided which background you're going to use, you want to cut it out so the center of that circle is lined up with the center of the window. And so once you have it centered there, just glue down that piece that you stamped on, and we'll be ready to move on to the next step. So now we're ready to do the next step, which is to attach the animation grid to your pull tab. So what you see me doing here is lining up the tab on the edge of the card and lining up the grid so I know that it's going to cover the window. So I'll put double-sided tape on each edge of the tab, and then I'm going to line it up just one more time before I glue it down. You just want to make sure that you're not going to see the tab once it's moving in and out. As you can see, I'm moving it back and forth here, and that tab is not coming through on that right edge of the window. So I know that I have a nice placement there. So our next step is to just secure the grid in place with a piece of foam tape. So I'm going to put a piece of foam tape along the edge there. We actually have strips of these that come as skinny 4-inch pieces of foam tape. So you don't have to cut it down from a larger piece. They just come like that on a nice 4x4-inch square. I'm not sure exactly how many strips, but they're already cut to size and they're perfect for all of the animation projects that you need pull tabs. And actually they're really great to use for any project in which you need to create some sort of track. They're very skinny and very useful. So I'm just going to use a very thin double-sided tape to seal the edges of the card, and I put some along the right edge, the bottom, and I also put a piece along the folded edge on the top, just so that the card closes nicely and it's a very tight fit. So now I'm just going to peel off the top of the double-sided tapes, fold the card down, and we'll see what the finished result is going to look like. So after closing the whole card up, we're just going to test it out, and it looks like it's working nice and smooth. And now for the most exciting and fun part is picking out which characters you want to use to put inside of your window, or I should say on top of the window. Here's our Easter set. It's actually not just an Easter set, it is a spring set. It has 3 different bunnies. Each bunny has his coordinating animated friend. It has a couple of nice sentiments that you can use, Happy Easter and Hello Spring. And so you can just kind of test out which character you want to put on your window. You don't have to glue it down yet. You can just place them on top and see which one you like best. So while I'd like to think I'm getting better at assembling these cards and matching pattern paper, my coloring skills are certainly not up to par with what you all deserve. So I'm going to use some examples that my wife Luciana colored of the bunny and the egg and the other bunny with the glasses on. They're just really nice, and she did a wonderful job. So that is what I'll use for the final project. So you just want to line up your bunny on the window, or you can use any character you have in your collection. This just happens to be an Easter card. And once you've decided, you're just going to use a tiny piece of double-sided tape, and you'll put it right on the stem, and you can glue down your final character. Of course, there's always room for more embellishments and just making your card prettier in any way you can think of. You can get creative, which I know all of you are. And there you have it. That is the finished project for the circular window background. And I'll just show you what I did. I added one little embellishment using one of the sentiments from the stamp set, the Happy Easter. And I used a little Easter egg, kind of a 3D sticker that we had, and that is what I used to finish it off. So now we'll move on, and I want to show you how to make the same card but using a pink colored grid, using our die cut to make the animation grid. So we're not going to start over completely. We're going to just start after I die cut it once through a pink paper. One of the most important things we're going to have to do is we're going to have to lengthen the height of the animation grid, since it doesn't completely cover the window. And so it's very simple to do this. Once you've die cut it once, you're just going to line up the same die cut in the lines. And so you're just going to make sure you move it over enough to cover the window. I think it's a little under a half an inch, maybe a quarter of an inch. And you're going to line it up with the lines. Just take a little bit of time just to make sure it's lined up correctly. And then you're going to run it through your die cut machine one more time. What this is going to do is going to make each of the lines longer enough to cover the window of the project. So after you've run it through your die cut again, you're going to have some paper residue on the lines. So just make sure you carefully just brush off whatever paper pieces there are. And what I did here is I stamped the rotating background with worn lipstick, the Distressed Oxide. It is a darker pink color. Of course, you can use any pink you want, or any color you want for that matter. Just using the same tone paper and ink will give you the really nice effect. So I glue this down just like I did in the first project, and again, just to make sure it's working right. And we want to cut out the grid the same size as we did the black grid, which is a 3x4, 3" by 4" piece. You want to leave some solid paper on each side because you still need to attach the pull tab. But once we have it cut down to size, we're going to attach the tab just as we did before. We're going to line up the grid in the right position, and we're going to line the tab up and put some double-sided tape on both edges of the tab and glue it to the piece of the colored grid. So once we have it glued, I will slide the tab into the slit and just make sure everything is sliding properly and everything is lined up okay. And then, just as before, we're going to open the card up, and we're going to use our thin foam tape strip and double-sided tape around the edges, and we'll see how the final result looks. So now we have everything taped up, and the last step is again to glue on any character you want to use in the window, and then use your favorite embellishment. For this one, I also used the 3D egg stickers, and I used the sentiment from the bunny set, the Happy Easter. But of course, you can use any sentiment that you have in your collection. And I went with a simple design, but of course, you can get creative and use any embellishments you'd like on your card. And honestly, I can't wait to see what you all come up with using these new background die cuts and stamps. And so be sure to leave comments if you have any questions. And definitely subscribe to our channel so you always get the new videos that we're going to be posting. And I hope you guys enjoyed this project and have a wonderful day.